Greetings fellow Decepticons, SoundBlaster1987 here with my monthly vlog for August of 2023. Today I'll be covering my top 10 choices for the missing Studio Series 86 Transformers figures that should be made next. Now, for a quick disclaimer, for those who don't know, SS86 is the subgroup of the Transformers Studio Series movie toy line from around 2018 or so onwards, that is based on the 1986 Generation 1 cartoon movie. You know, Unicron, Galvatron, Coronation Starscream, all that stuff. So far we've had Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, the Sweeps, Scourge, and several other figures in the SS86 line, and a Bumblebee buzzworthy exclusive 2-pack of the Deaths of Prowl and Ironhide based on their Earthrise retools. But we do still have quite a lot of G1 characters missing. And for another quick disclaimer before we start the list, this video was filmed just after the end of San Diego Comic-Con 2023. So for those wondering, Commander Class Ultra Magnus, Core Class Frenzy and Voyager Class Ratchet will not be on the list because they've already been revealed and pre-orders are already live for them. So without further ado, number 10 on my list, the Constructicons. Cheating, I know, to include 6 characters in one part of the list, but, you know, with their combined form of Devastator, they do still technically count as one. The Constructicons were a literally large part of the main storyline for SS86, or for the 86 movie rather, given how much damage Devastator did in the battle for Autobot City. Plus the fact that they were able to combine into Devastator inside of Astro Train Shuttle mode, which just shows how much the size shifting thing doesn't make sense. I mean, how is Astro Train Shuttle mode big enough to hold Devastator's combined form without him getting cramped, and yet still his robot mode is no bigger than Starscream? But I digress. I know there are already rumours that the next HasLab crowdfunding figure is going to be a Titan size or bigger Devastator figure. That's going to be like more Sunbow accurate than the Combiner Wars one, but we already do have the Combiner Wars one and it's improved retool, the Unite Warriors version, which gave Scrapper elbows and provided weapons for the individual bots. But I think the HasLab rumours would probably provide an even better version, especially if they can include the bugles from Starscream's coronation ceremony like the New Age figures did. Number 9 on my list, Soundwave. For those who don't know, the Earthrise Netflix Soundwave mold, which represents him in the most screen-accurate form of his Earth mode possible nowadays, below the Masterpiece scale, is probably the best shot we have at getting an SS86 Soundwave release. But for that, of course, some of the details would have to be changed and he'd have to have a red visor instead of a yellow one. Not that it really matters because Toy Hacks will make a Retro Labels visor sticker replacement piece for him at some point anyway. And of course Soundwave is the most loyal of all the Decepticons, so it would be pretty stupid not to include him in the SS86 line at some point of a Voyager scale. Maybe include either Ravage or Laserbeak, or maybe even Ratbat inside the figure and then sell the others separately of a core class like Rumble and Frenzy. So I definitely think that a Netflix Earthrise Soundwave modification could easily be, used for this one. Number 8 on my list, the Quintesson Prosecutor. You know, the xenomorph alien long head type guy with tentacles for arms that basically, only exists to sentence people to death by being fed to the Sharkticons. Yeah, we got a little rubber version of him in the Quintesson Pit of Judgment set, which included a retooled Earthrise Voyager Quintesson Judge. But I think maybe transforming version of the Quintesson Prosecutor that, I don't know, maybe turns into another part of the Quintesson courtroom or something would be useful. Or maybe his tentacles could be like vines for a transforming plant creature or something, I don't know. I'll leave that one up to Hasbro, if they ever get around to it. Then, number 7 on my list, Astro Train. I know the Siege Astro Train figure is decently proportioned and such in robot mode, but he's way too small to be a leader class figure. The only reason they even call him a leader class is because he's got that additional tender crate thing full of weapons that turns into a launch platform for his shuttle mode. Unfortunately, the Titan's Return mold although still decently accurate in robot mode and definitely big enough, it does still suffer from having stylized IDW style vehicle modes, and of course the headmaster gimmick is not accurate either. So I recommend redesigning Astro Train from the ground up at either Voyager or Leader scale, using the size of the Titan's Return figure and the colours of the Siege figure as a baseline. Then, number 6 on my list, the other dead Autobots. I know this is going to be a controversial one, but since we already got a sleep mode version of Earthrise Optimus, and we've got a 2-pack of Prowl and Ironhide's death scene in the Bumblebee Buzzworthy set, I think it would be about time when we had like Gears, Wheeljack and Windcharger in that sort of deceased state with a load of battle damage retools and such, in addition to the Siege battle damage paint apps across the rest of their bodies. Then number 5 on my list, Springer. I know we've already had Springer in the Siege line, and pretty much the most G1 cartoon accurate sculpted Springer we could possibly get, but this version of Springer is a lot lighter in colour than the cartoon model, being closer to like the Marvel Comics version of, basically the cartoon colours on the Marvel Comics kind of design. So I think a slightly darker repaint of Springer minus the battle damage details would be a good idea, plus a bonus more screen accurate sword that's not made with one of his rotor blades for the sword duel he had against Rekgar on the planet of Junk. Plus that sword can later be recycled into an IDW Cyclonus retool or something. Then, number 4 on my list is another multi-part thing, so you have to bear with me on this one, but Ramjet, Skywarp and Thundercracker. We've already had a solo re-release of Dirge in the Legacy Evolution line, so I think it's about time that the other 2-pack Seekers got an individual re-release. Plus also it would mean that we could get the same figures again but with slightly fixed details, like getting rid of that stupid screaming head on Skywarp for a start. I know Few Adams will be happy about that because he wasn't too keen on the permanent scream face on the Earthrise Skywarp. As perfect a Skywarp as that figure already is. And of course, since Dirge has already been re-released, why not Ramjet as well, especially since Frost got released on his own. So, number 3 on my list, more Junkions. We've already had Rekgar and Scrap Heap, but we definitely need more, like Junk Pile and some of the other Junkions that came out, because we've already got some Junkions in the, Legacy line as like a continuation of the Weaponizer gimmick, but I think we need more SS86 style Junkions, especially for the way that they ride their own bike modes in the movie and such like. Number 2 on my list, Shockwave. Poor Shockwave literally sacrificed himself to save the other Decepticons from Unicron's attack on Cybertron in the final fight. There was supposed to be a death scene written into the movie script for him, but it was never filmed. So I think a Voyager scale release of the Siege leader figure in much lighter shades of purple, like the Kingdom Cyclonus' lavender colour, minus the extra armour and battle damage pieces, but with a couple of blast effects for his left arm gun, might be a good idea. I know it's going to be difficult to get that sorted properly, especially with the US gun laws and whatnot, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who's willing to make a, AliExpress type knockoff or bootleg of the original Siege mold in G1 colours. Just remember to make the barrel backpack piece lavender and the rest of them a slightly different shade of purple. And finally, number 1, as if you couldn't already guess, Megatron. Because of the Wolfer P38 mode, Megatron will never get a normal G1 accurate toy again, because he's always had been relegated to the G2 tank mode instead for toy safety, gun regulations and such. This is why Classic 06 Megatron had to turn into a Nerf gun, and why Shockwave and 6-Shots gun modes have had to be rewritten as upside-down submarines instead of anything else. Honestly, I really fear for the safety of toy accuracy with these designs sometimes. But, with that said, I have been SoundBlaster1987, thanks again for watching. My next vlog will be in September, and to tie in with the new Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie coming out, my next vlog will be the origins, history and potential future of Shadow the Hedgehog. For my next review, I'll be looking at the Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man Animated Series version of Shocker. Till then, to all are one.